Good evening, Waukesha County. Good evening, Republicans. Good evening, conservatives. Here it is. They're getting ready. Welcome, everyone. We've got our guest speakers and whatnot coming here in a minute. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being here tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun this evening. See a lot of great faces around, a lot of fun guys, a lot of fun gals, ready to go. I just have a real quick question just to start this whole thing. Is Dan Kelly going to win? Yeah! Sorry, I got something in my ears. Is Dan Kelly going to win? Yeah! Who's going to be out this weekend, even if it snows 7 inches? Yeah! Let's do it. Let's do it. We've got everybody coming in, so give it just a minute. Ready to roll.
I don't think that's
Hey, Lou.
No, he and I are good golfers.
Jay Hilligan, Paul, he's a school board candidate for West Red down in Milwaukee, right there. Raise your hand. There it is. We got Dale Porter over here. He's running for municipal board down in Milwaukee as well. Hey, there's Cody Horlocker. He's running for judge. He's going to be talking a little bit about that. Cody. We're going to hear from him a little bit, but Congressman Fitzgerald just got off the plane from D.C. There he is.
Michael pulled out and said, oh, I don't know what.
Where's Marcus? Is that Mark? What's your middle name?
Jeremiah.
Yeah, it's going to be Marcus Jeremiah Schrader, right? All right, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
We're going to get going in about 2 minutes. We're
Okay.
looking for
Am I going for, so how is that working? You speak, I go up.
Prayer. I'll just welcome everybody quickly, then we're going to go prayer, pledge. Pledge is Chuck Richards, national anthem. And then after that, I'm going to say a few words. And we had to switch this whole program around. So you guys going to go a little later. You're going to go a little later. Chris Johnson and Scott want to go right away instead of halfway through the program. So you guys, when you're up there doing what I'm doing, and the senator comes up and says we're switching the entire program around, what do you do?
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's totally fine.
So we get, hang on, about 2 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Okay, folks, if we could all be seated, please.
How are you? I'll do my best. Let's get you seated and I'll go find you.
Senator Johnson's back home, Congressman Fitzgerald. We believe, I know we believe, that Dan Kelly is going to win. We're going to put the notes in the grindstone and we're going to put them over the edge. Ladies and gentlemen, we always start our program by giving thanks to the God Almighty. So we are being welcomed tonight with a young man. His name is Marcus Jeremiah Schrader. He's with First Baptist up in Menominee Falls. Just a fine young man. He's going to come up and lead us in prayer. Marcus?
Good evening. I'd like to ask you all to pray with me tonight, because we know that the prayers of the righteous avail us much. And if there's anything that our nation needs, it is mighty work of God. So let's pray together. Dear Father, we come before you today as broken people. We know that in our flesh there is nothing good, that we were wicked, that we were trespassers against your commandments, and that in our sin you stepped down into the darkness to make us new creatures and to save us. We thank you for that. Now we come to you in the midst of a broken nation, a nation that has turned its back on you, that has decided to, that is hell-bent on destroying everything that is good in our society. And yet in the midst of this, God, we understand that there is nothing that we can do to change it. We need you. So God, we come to you again and ask for you to step into the darkness once more to save us. God, we pray over this nation. Please give us a nation where babies are no longer murdered in the name of women's rights. Give us a nation where families are rebuilt and marriage is made strong again. Give us a nation where sodomites no longer parade their sin in our streets, where homosexuals and lesbians are no longer able or allowed to adopt little children and raise them in the warped places that they call home. Father God, give us a nation where your name is glorified in every area of life, where the name of Jesus is magnified in our schools, in our legislatures, in our houses of Congress, in our families, in our churches, in our businesses. God, please give us the strength to march forward into this battle. Give us men who are humble. Give us men who are strong and courageous. Please bless our time tonight. We thank you for this wonderful evening. Please bless our efforts, and may it all glorify your name. May your name be praised. May all of your enemies be put under your feet. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Marcus. I'd ask that you please stand for Pledge of Allegiance and then the national anthem. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our Representative Chuck Witchers. Chuck? Yep.
I just wanted to say, at the end of the pledge, if we could say a little bit louder, and justice for all. That was a request. So if you could join us. There's a pastor in Jefferson County who says that after every Sunday service, and he makes everybody say it a little bit louder. And I'm not from Jefferson, but it was a request. So thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Well done. Please stand. We're joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel, Air Force, Lieutenant Colonel Kathy Grassi. Kathy is going to lead us.
join me in singing the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thanks very much, Kathy. Absolutely beautiful. So we've got a number of folks tonight I'd love to welcome. Just going around the room, we've got our county executive. Where's Paul Farrow? He's in the house. Where's Paul? There he is, back there. We've got our state senators here tonight. Julian Bradley. Where's Julian? Welcome, Julian. And our newest state senator from Waukesha County, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Hutton. Over in the assembly, we've got Representative Scott Allen. Janelle Bridge, and we love you, Janelle. We've got Dan Canolo. Still moving up. Adam Daniel is here. Is Adam here? Sure. And then finally, great job, Chuck Witchers, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, we've got our former first vice chair and now member of the assembly. We're very proud of him, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Redinger. By the way, just a little bit of tidbit for you. All 5 races last November, state senate, state assembly races here in Waukesha County, we won them all. On top of the fact that we won them all, it means that the entire delegation up in Madison, state senate and state assembly from Waukesha County is now 100% red. On the judicial side, we've got appeals court judges Maria Lazar. Is Maria here? There you go. That's who she was able to make with Shelley Brogan. Is Shelley here? Great, fantastic. We've got Circuit Court Judge Brad Schill. Other folks, Wisconsin Election Commissioner is our friend Bob Spindell. He's the champion up there fighting a good fight. And we've got Conservative Business Coalition leader Ken Dragota. Ken around. And Republican Women of Waukesha County Chairman Ali Schweitzer. Folks, I hope you're about to be served your meal, so enjoy that. We've got a little bit of a time constraint tonight, so we're going to move forward to our keynote speakers, if we will. Yes, Janelle?
State Representative Tom.
Oh, it's Tom here. That's right. Excuse me, I missed one. Thank you. New state rep. Sorry, missed that one down in the 14th, right? State Assemblyman Tom Mikulski. Judge Paul Guggenheim is here, thank you. Anybody else on this? What's that? Oh, I didn't know Mike was here. Judge Mike Maxwell, sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, folks. I think we got it now. Okay, so enjoy your dinner tonight, but we're going to move forward with our 2 keynotes back from DC and one up from Florida. I don't know if I necessarily even have to say too much about our next speaker. We all love him. He fought a tough fight last year and won. He has been our absolute leader in this state for a long, long time. He keeps battling in Washington. He has absolutely made this state so very, very proud. Would you all join me in welcoming our wonderful Senator, Ron Johnson.
Terry, thank you all for that incredibly warm welcome. Thank you for being Waukesha County. You know how much we rely on you. My main job here today is to, I got the honor and pleasure of representing my colleague, my primary ally in the United States Senate, Senator Rick Scott. But before I sing his praises a little bit, I have a couple things I want to talk about. You know I'm kind of big into reality. You gotta acknowledge it, you gotta face it, you gotta, if you don't like it, you gotta improve it. And the reality is, I won by the skin of my teeth in November, and we lost some key statewide races. Now, you know, I think we all ask ourselves, I mean, how bad does it have to get? What do we have to do? So it's pretty easy to get down to the dumps. Okay, and I often tell people I'm not the most uplifting character. But the fact of the matter is, we hold our future in our own hands. And we can do this. Okay, we got election. First of all, we do need to recognize, I don't think conservatives truly understand how effective and pervasive the left has become in infiltrating virtually every institution of this country, and I would say globally. So again, we are up against powerful forces. It's not a fair fight. It's not a level playing field. That is the very sad reality. But we have the truth on our side. We know and we understand what is that one essential ingredient, freedom, that has made this country, has made our state great. So we've got that on our side, and that is powerful. The truth has its own power. So we hold this in our hands. We've got an election coming up on April 4th. Early voting's already started. Early vote. Lock that vote in. You know, we spend a lot of money on get out the vote. If you've already voted, we don't have to worry about calling you. We don't have to waste our time and effort doing that. So vote early. And once you voted, what I'm asking all of you to do is talk to every friend, every family member, every neighbor. Get them to vote, but also get them to talk to all of their friends and neighbors and family members. It's called force multiplication. Just throw out some numbers. You know, the last crucial Supreme Court race we had was in April of 2019. We'd come off that tough defeat in November 2018. But we rallied the grassroots and we won that with 606,000 votes. I won my election in November with over 1.3 million. There's our opportunity. It's that 700,000 conservative voters that voted for me that we need to turn out on or before April 4th. That's our opportunity. And I have to give a huge shout out to Jennifer Doro. every Republican throughout this nation how you win, how you run a tough race, how you run a race with integrity, and how even in the face of a defeat, you show unbelievable class and integrity by stepping up to the plate and realizing it's not about you, it's about our state, it's about our country, and you step up to the plate and you endorse your opponent. And you do everything you can to help that opponent win. Remember, stand up. Thank you for what you did. So let's not let Jennifer's example go to waste. Let's line up behind Unify, behind Dan Kelly, because we simply can't lose this Wisconsin Supreme Court race. We would be turning back the clock. You know, there's a huge difference between conservatives versus liberals. You know, we want judges to apply the law. That's what Dan Kelly will do. The left doesn't believe that. They cannot, through the democratic process, through the legislature, pass their crazy policy prescriptions, so they rely on the courts. They want to elect judges who will legislate from the bench and enact this crazy stuff by judicial fiat. We can't allow them to do that. So again, we've got to win this race. It is crucial. We can do it, but it's going to be up to us. So again, talk to all your friends, your family, your neighbors throughout the state, not just in Waukesha County. Be a force multiplier throughout the state. We can win this. We have to win this on April 4th. Now, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you the person who I most am allied with in the Senate. A person who I have come to know and respect and quite honestly love for what he does and what he has done. I've encouraged Rick to spend quite a bit of time, quite honestly, in his keynote address to tell you about him, because his story is extraordinary. You know, so many of our political opponents, look at our party as, the party of the wealthy, but the fact of the matter is our party is made up of people like Rick Scott, who came into this world with no means whatsoever, from very humble beginnings, and used America, used freedom, used his God-given talents, and became a huge success, and now has turned that success into trying to save this country. So I really asked Rick to kind of talk about what he's done. But as my ally in the Senate, Rick has challenged leadership. He did it without acrimony. He did it because he thought it was good for the party, and because of what he has done, things are changing. Maybe not as fast as we all want, but they are changing. He has made a huge improvement. I call him the Energizer Bunny, a perpetual motion machine. He is relentless, but when I get relentless, I get kind of snarly. When Rick is relentless, he's got a smile on his face. I don't think he ever sits back and waits, okay, we accomplished that, now let me take a minute off. He doesn't do that. He is just relentless. We are so fortunate to have Rick Scott serve in the United States Senate. He's up for a very tough re-election. All you have to realize, I got support from all over the country, because so many people realize every one of these U.S. Senate races are national races. It's not just about the state, it's about our nation. There is no way I would have won this U.S. Senate race without Rick Scott being NRSC. Helping me early, helping me through innovation, helping me raise money. So I'm asking all of you with the means to do so, write him a big check, as big a check as you possibly can. And give Senator Rick Scott a very warm and loud welcome here. Rick Scott.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. I remember when I won the governor's race, and the first time people stood up, I was so embarrassed. So it's still humbling. So first off, thanks to be here. Any of you that goes to Florida, it's 85 degrees back where I live. I apologize for that. Well, first off, thank you for being in something like this. You know, we win these races only because of you. You know, we can raise all the money and run all the ads, but the truth is, you get the vote out. I've had one contested primary and 3 general elections, and I won because I had volunteers, which just busted their butts every day. The last election I had 7,000 volunteers. And not only I had to win the election, I had to win 3 recounts. So I'm the only person at the time that ever beat the Democrat Lori Mark Elias in recount. And if it hadn't been for the volunteers, 1, to make sure the election was fair, and then 2, make sure the recount was fair, I would have won. So let me talk first about the importance of Ron Johnson in the Senate. So I got elected actually at the same time Ron did. I was governor for 8 years, and Ron got elected to the Senate. So I didn't know him until I got to the Senate. In the Senate, it's hard because it's a club. It's a club and there's a lot of pressure just to go along. I mean, don't worry about things. You should just, we do debt ceiling increases, so just go along with it. Or you know what? We need to just keep spending money. Don't worry about it. And then there's a lot of pressure just to never rock the boat. And that's not who Ron Johnson is. Any conversation about the budget, Ron Johnson's leading. Any conversation about the debt ceiling, Ron Johnson's leading. And by the way, if it wasn't for him, there would have been, in my first 4 years, there would have almost been no discussion about either of those 2 things. But he's always willing to stand up and say exactly what he believes in. And you know, one thing, and by the way, Ron is no different in a meeting, when we have a Republican senator lunch, in the hearings. He's the same person. He's very consistent. He cares. He's scared to death what's happening in this country. And so when you see him on TV, he's no different in a private meeting. He's pushing us every time at lunch to talk about the issues. And he's passionate about what he believes in. So if you think it's important to know what Fauci was doing, he's the guy. If it's important to know what Hunter Biden's doing, or did, Ron Johnson, of course, is going to make it happen. Any information that's gotten out about how the border works, Ron Johnson was the leader. Now, you don't make everybody happy, and you're not going to be president of the club by doing that. But that's not what Ron's up there for. He's actually up there because he really cares about this country, he cares about everybody here, and he's very passionate about it. So I'm appreciative that I had the opportunity to serve with him. And here's what as I've done this, I've been under 4 years. In the beginning, I thought, gosh, it was important how you voted. I have a whole different attitude now. It's great that you vote the right way. But if you're not going to be vocal about it, you're not going to help change the country. You have to be vocal. As Ron said, I ran against Mitch McConnell, because I think we have to have a different way we run the Senate. Amen. In the last 2 years, some of our Republican colleagues have caved in. They've caved in on the infrastructure bill, which was not roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. It's a Green New Deal. But the CHIPS bill, which gave companies like Intel billions of dollars and not have to change anything. So, thank you for sending Ron. It was a very tough race. It was a very difficult election cycle for us. But we are going to win as long as we get our votes out. There's plenty of people that believe in what we're doing, but we've got to get them out to vote. And you've got a very important Supreme Court race, and I'll give you an example of my state. When I got elected in 2010, I had a 5-2 liberal Supreme Court. So anything that was significant that I wanted to be done was going to be declared unconstitutional. Finally, I got to pick one, and then we were able to, when I finished, we had a 6-1 Supreme Court. But just that one, we had a statewide program for students. We tried to, when Jim Bush was governor, he tried to do a voucher program, and the liberal Supreme Court threw it out, saying it was against the Constitution, which it's not. But we had one where money didn't come into the state budget, it's a tax court scholarship program. We would have lost, but I had the opportunity to pick one judge, so we now was 4-3. And there was a group down there that put a lot of effort into explaining it to all the judges, raised millions of dollars and ran ads and explained it, and we actually were able to win that fight 4-3. Or we would have lost 300,000 kids, which were going to private schools, would have lost their opportunity to go to private school. So, and every state's important. Every state, because your state will try something, and if your courts don't allow it, it's going to hurt every other state to try it. So let me just tell you about why I'm doing this. First thing people say is, why would you ever run for office? I think all of us are sort of who we are. We do the things based on, whatever God put us on this earth to do, we're sort of probably going down that path. And here's my path. I was born to a single mom. She'd just gone through a divorce. She had a horrible marriage. There were 2 of us at the time. My older brother, 2 years older than me. And I thought I had the toughest mom in the world. We lived in public housing, and she said, I don't care that we don't have any money. You're going to make straight A's. You're going to go to church all the time. I told my mom, no one goes to church as much as I do, Mom. You're going to be an Eagle Scout, and you're going to make money, because we're broke. So she eventually remarried. She married an individual making $100 a month as a bus driver, did a 6th grade education, and eventually made a little bit more, but not a lot more back then as a truck driver. And so I had a great adopted dad. I never met my natural dad, but I had a great adopted dad. He just didn't make much money. So I joined the Navy at 18. I started working really young, and I never stopped. I love working. I love building businesses. I always wanted to be in business. I got married at 19, and I've been married for a long time. We have 2 daughters, we have 2 son-in-laws, and we have 7 grandchildren. So we're blessed. This is the dream of this country. My 11-year-old grandson is going to be a policeman, a paratrooper, and the first man on Mars. He believes that because he lives in this country. My mom told me everything was my fault if I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and I could be anything. That's what I think about my job every day. My job is to make sure every kid, it's a reality, and they believe they can be anything. Anything. Whatever they believe. They can build anything you want to build. They can do anything you want to do. That is 100% my job. Now, let me tell you why I won in TIP. People think now Florida is a Republican state. In 2010, there were 4.9 million Democrats and 4.4 million Republicans. And I ran in the Republican primary. I only lived in the state 7 years. I found out the week after I announced I was running that you had to live there 7 years. I didn't even know that. And I won for one reason. I don't care what you said to me. I said, I have a 7-step plan for 700,000 jobs over 7 years. And let me tell you the importance of elections. In 2010, there were 1.1 million homes in Florida in foreclosure. In 2010, home prices in 4 years have dropped by 50%. We had 900,000 people on unemployment. And in 2010, more people left the state of Florida than moved in. There were no jobs anywhere. You couldn't find a job in Florida. So, and we were going into default on our debt. state had not, you know, you read these stories that all these states live within their means, they have to. That's not true at all. They borrow money. Florida had increased its state debt by over $1 billion net every year for 20 years. They never lived within their means. Most states don't. Our state was going to go into default on school debt by March, or by May after I got elected. So I got elected because people listened to my story, and they believed it was important to turn the state around. My opponent was a wonderful person. He didn't do what Jennifer did. He never endorsed me when I won in the primary. All he did, the entire race, was talk about how many endorsements. He had every endorsement in the entire country. He'd been in Congress for 22 years and was the sitting attorney general. And it wasn't because when he talked about endorsements, I said I have a 7-step plan for $700,000 over 7 years. I remember I got to the general election and I went into this convenience store right before a fundraiser, and everybody there turned to me and said, "Do that job guy, right?" But we ran on a reason to run. Ron Johnson, when he runs, you know what the living daylights he believes in. You're not sugarcoat everything. He's going to tell you what the problems are and what he's going to do to fix it. That's how we won. And we were able to actually completely turn the state of Florida around. We didn't get 700,000 jobs over 7 years. We got 1.7 million. And the government didn't add one job. Actually, I took the number of state workers from 127,000 to 112,000. We didn't stop borrowing money. We actually paid off a third of state debt. We cut taxes and fees 100 times. We became #1 in higher education. You know how we did it? When I got elected, here's what they were doing. Now remember, when I went to school, I thought of school, I had no interest in school. I had an interest in making more money. That was my entire focus. So when I got elected, they're raising tuition 15% a year for public universities. When I went to junior college, it was $200 a semester. The university was expensive. It was $255 a semester. They were raising tuition 15% plus inflation every year for the poorest families in our state. So I stopped all the tuition increases. And then we changed it. We said, we're going to allocate the dollars for our university system tied to 3 things. What's it cost to get a degree? Do you get a job? How much money you make? We became #1 for the U.S. News and Report on higher education. We continued to expand school choice to the extent we could with our Supreme Court. And we became the 5th best public school system in the country. And we did it because we had choice. It was all tied that our public schools had to compete against our others. I got rid of teacher tenure my first year in office. So the teachers union, which I'm not anti-teachers union, I'm pro-teacher, but they actually didn't run it, they didn't spend any money in my 14 raise or my 18 raise. Because their revenues went away. We ended up with a 47-year low in our primary. So all we did was do the basic things. I'll tell you 2 quick stories about it. So I'm a turnaround guy. The first business I bought a donut shop when I got out of the Navy, so my mom could have a job, because my dad was disabled by then. Eventually I started buying, I built the largest hospital company in the country, and I learned how to borrow money. At one time, I owed $10 billion, when it was a lot of money. I went from me to 300,000 employees in 9 years. And after I sold that business, then I bought a whole bunch of manufacturing companies. And so and no one sold me anything that was working. They sold all the messed up things. And so I figured out how to build management teams, how to finance things, how to borrow a lot of money, and we turned around. So I started doing the same thing at the state. So I'll just give you a couple of stories. So I go to the department, my first month in office, I go to the department that says they do economic development, or they do unemployment. I said, how's it work? They said, well, we're open 6 days a week because unemployed Floridians don't have enough time to apply for unemployment during the week. Stop and read my life. I said, if you go on unemployment, we have about 9,000 people on unemployment. I said, what do you have to do? Well, you have to apply for jobs a week, 5 jobs a week. I said, how's that work? well, we don't enforce it. I said, I read this story that you could be in prison and get unemployment benefits. They said, well, sure. I said, you know, we know who's in prison. We run the prison system. I said, what if you found somebody that got a job and kept their unemployment? Well, what do you mean? We wouldn't do anything. I said, what's your purpose? They said, our purpose is to get everybody in the state on unemployment benefits. They said, the economy's really bad. If we can get everybody on unemployment, just think. The state only pays for 26 weeks, and thank God for Barack Obama, because he personally gave us another 73 weeks. So their goal was not to get people a job. Their goal was to get people on unemployment. So somewhere between 900,000 and 1 million people on unemployment when I got elected. When I finished, didn't change any of the rules. 61,000 people out of 22 million people on unemployment. All we did was we helped people get jobs. It could be, you could have a child care problem. You could have an education problem. You could have all housing problems. All we did was just solve it. By the time we finished, we had 71,000 people on unemployment. So all you have to do, if you can elect great people that want to go do something and get something done, they'll completely change all these states. There was a high-speed rail project that Barack Obama was pushing, and it was going to cost us, they were going to give us $2.6 billion, and then we were going to have to spend $1 billion to $3 billion. And I walked in with a $4 billion budget deficit, and actually I balanced the budget. I went through every line of the budget. There's 4,000 lines of the budget, and we put a written purpose for every line of the budget. Now Ron and I would do that, because Ron's a budget guy. He would do that in the Senate, but guess what the difference is? We don't do budgets. You can't even get the budget. You have to get it by agency. I'm on the budget committee. We don't do budget meetings. We had one the other day on climate change. Not on the numbers. So anyway, saying this high-speed rail project they want to do in Florida, 84 miles, by law, had to stop 15 times. Can't make this stuff up. So I killed it. And Barack Obama was not very happy. They told me I should do it because it would be a tourist attraction. It was going to lose $100 million a year. So the Department of Transportation came to see me. They're mad over that. And they said, Governor, by law, we have to raise our tolls based on inflation every year. I said, well, whatever the law is, we're going to do it. They said, great, because the last governor wouldn't do it, so we have to do it for 5 years. I said, whatever the law is, the law is. They said, well, great, because we can go borrow another $1.8 billion. I said, what are you going to do with that $1.8 billion? Well, we're going to build toll roads. We have to build toll roads. I said, I like roads. We need more roads. I'm fine. I said, what do you, but how much money are we going to get back in toll? What do you mean? We don't do it that way. We just sort of make it really low, and maybe in about 20 years, the tolls will be high enough that we can pay off the debt. I said, how long do roads last? 17. They say this stuff, I can tell you, every agency, they say this stuff with a straight face. You go to DC, there is no accountability. Somebody told me about a bill the other day they want to do. It's going to cost $300 million a year. It's going to do X. I said, well, let me ask you a question. It's going to be a $3 million bill, $300,000 a year. What if it doesn't do it after the first year? What do you mean? Well, what if it's not working? Well, we're going to just keep funding. That's your federal government. I mean, it's completely dysfunctional. So, we have to win these races. And by the way, everything you believe in is all global. Can we balance the budget? In DC, they say you can't. You balance your budgets. This is what my revenues are. This is how much I make. This is how much I can spend. You do it every day. We can do it up there. I did it when I was governor of Florida. It's not that hard. You just say, this is what I got. This is what we're going to do. We can have a strong military. We can have a secure border. The border is completely unsecure because it's intentional. It's completely intentional. Ron Johnson's been a leader in making sure everybody understands how the border works. But go to the border. They just didn't finish it. What Trump did worked. So right now in DC, everything is like, we can't. We can't have that attitude. We can't. Everything we believe in is doable. So I need to go through the bar, balance the budget. I walk through the budget deficit, we balance it, you can balance it. Secure the border, you can do that. You can take care of the military. You can make sure you take care of Social Security and Medicare. It's all of these things are doable. But we gotta win more races. Now, here's what Ron Johnson told me one of the first times I talked to him about elections. He said, how did he win in 2010? He won in 2010, not because of a statewide race, because of local races. That's how you know. I guess he got the exact same number as the number of votes that your Board of Assembly Republican members got. And why is this important? If you don't win local races, you don't get people out to vote. In my election in 2014, we had 6 competitive state house and state senate races. When you don't have people running, you don't get it. Nobody's out there hustling to vote. So we have to do all the grassroots ourselves. If school board races are important to people, in our state they're called state attorneys. If those races are important, or city council races are important, if we have Republicans running in every seat, even if it's hard, guess what happens? Their friends go out and vote. Their family goes out and vote. They excite people. And that's how we're going to win statewide races. So in 2018, I'm the only Republican that won in a competitive state in the Senate. And just to tell you how bad the numbers were, and I know you're attorney generals here in laws, probably the same thing sort of happened to him. Trump won Missouri and Indiana, just to tell you how bad the cycle was. Trump won Missouri and Indiana by 18, and the Republican Senators Josh Hawley and Mike Braun won those states by 5. Trump won Florida by 1% in 16. So I had to match his numbers to that. So we had to get 4.3 million votes out. The Democrats got their votes out. And it was 100% tied to the fact that all the volunteers got the votes out. So I just want to finish by thanking you for what you do every day. I've had a lot of different careers. I've built the different businesses I did. Then I've done governor in this. And as I've done this, here's what I tell people. Government is unbelievably pervasive. Like right now, we had a hurricane that hit our house down in Lakers. And the hurricane was bad enough, but I have a wife that just took the opportunity to redo the first floor. So we've had 2 hurricanes. But I don't have a yard. It's taken me almost a year to get a permit just to raise the front of my yard to be level with my neighbor's yard. Now I can't go, I know the mayor, I know the city council, but if I do it, it'll be in the paper, right? But think about this for a second. Everything you try to do is harder because of government. Everything. Cities, counties, state, federal. When I was governor, I cut taxes 100 times and fees 100 times. That's not what changed the state. It was the permitting. It was a regulatory environment. When I got elected in Florida, an environmental license that you were entitled to, you would get, the average duration to get it was 2 years. When I finished, it was 2 days. You had a right to it. You were entitled to it. We've got to all be, we've got to put more of our time. Everybody thinks it's all about money, actually it's more about time. We've got to put more of our time. And because if you just think about it, whatever part, whether your business life or your personal life, how much time are you spending because of government? Then you should allocate that amount of time to get better government. If you're in business, think about how much time people spend on, oh, this cost or that cost. Think of the cost of government. It's not the taxes and fees, is you can't even get started. If you're a poor kid in this country, you didn't even get a license. On my first business, I bought a donut shop, I didn't get one license. Not one. I bet there'll be 50 licenses that almost I'd have to get now, from everybody. So, thank you for the opportunity to be here. If you need, by the way, if you need anything in Florida, I met everybody. If you didn't get to know me when I was governor, it was intentional. It's government is a totally different job than the Senate. In the Senate, you have to be in DC to vote and committees and stuff, so you don't get to talk to as many people, so it's a little harder. As governor, I got to decide whatever I wanted to do. So my job, here's what I did as governor. I never went to Tallahassee. I did everything on the road. So I get up 5 days a week, I do morning TV, then I did a 10 o'clock press conference on something, I do meetings before and after, and I go to another city, I do a press conference at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I shook hands with about 500 people a day. I did events. And so, and when you do that, you know everybody's problem. And so all I do is I go around, somebody tell me a problem, I would call the agency that was responsible for it, I would call the mayor, I would call the county commissioner, and I'd tell them about the problem. And clearly, if they worked for the governor, it got fixed. But even the others did. So if you need something in Florida, I probably know the person who does it for you. I figured out in every county, I'm sure whether they were Republican or Democrat, who got everything done. Because there's somebody in every county, in every city, in every board that gets this to do where they get everything done. We just need to elect more of them and more Republicans. So thanks for the opportunity to be here. If I can do anything for you, thank you for giving me Ron Johnson, because he's
Okay, folks, we're really lucky tonight because he just barely, I don't know, maybe just made the plane. I was getting the update in DC. He was up on the floor today for some really important votes, including one in particular. But we're real glad to have him because we weren't sure we were going to get him. Our favorite son here, 5th District, right here, ladies and gentlemen, big hand, he's back home with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Yeah, it's true. We were on the floor of the House today, and once again, one of those days where a lot of the issues, I think, that are becoming more and more familiar to everyone as they're discussed kind of in public. And glad to report that today we passed the Parents' Bill of Rights. And one more thing to add to that, I just wanted to deep down in my heart of hearts, I think you all know that after spending 25 years in the Wisconsin State Senate, it'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we absolutely need to keep that 22nd seat, and Dan Cano's the guy to do that. So, whatever we do with Dan between now and election day, certainly is important. And also, he'd be upset with me, I think, if I didn't. Paul Farrell's on the ballot, isn't he? Yeah. I just want to mention that. I think he was getting worried back there in the back of the room that everybody forgot about that. So there's two things well, the first thing I thought of this morning, did anybody hear me on WISN this morning? I was kind of worried about it because I thought everything I said this morning on WISN is what I'm going to talk about tonight if I get to walk Clark County. So, but I'm glad some of you did hear that. And the other thing that I heard from a lot of people on, when we had the 15 votes for Speaker to get Kevin McCarthy into that position, it wasn't on purpose, but I was strategically put kind of in an area that had me sitting behind Kevin. And I had no idea how many people watch C-SPAN. Because I kept getting text messages from everybody, see on TV, see on TV. So as a rule, my staff was on me to sit in the same spot behind Kevin each and every time. So it worked, I guess, because a lot of people saw it. It was an interesting experience, I think. I've been in a lot of different unique places politically over the years. And once again, I found myself kind of in the middle of a situation that was evolving and developing. And, so what you saw publicly as Speaker McCarthy was being elected, also, you were able to be part of what was going on in the conference behind closed doors. And it was really interesting after being in the legislature for so many years and working with other members of Congress that also were in legislatures. You could see that there was kind of the wheels turning in a lot of people's minds that we kept taking a break. We would take 3 or 4 votes and then we'd take a break. And eventually some of us that had been in leadership before kept telling those in charge, stop taking a break. You can't let these people go home and recharge their batteries and then come back the next morning because they'll think of 5 more things they want before they're going to vote for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. And honestly, there was nobody else I think that was going to emerge. But once again, it put me in a place that was unique on that evening. I go back to January 6th because once again, I was sitting in the chamber when they were banging on the doors and the Capitol Police drew their weapons. And, it was at that point that we kind of realized what was going on outside of the chamber. And my brother Jeff texted me, and he said, "Do you realize this is the second Capitol that you've been in where there's been a riot on the outside?" He said, "It might be you. It might be you." So, which kind of leads me to my other point, and I know that Dan Kelly's going to be here, and Justice Kelly's going to give some remarks. But really the importance, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, really the importance of what's going to happen in that spring election is what a lot of you supported and what many of the legislators that are here this evening fought for. And that was Scott Walker and the legislature's Act 10 provisions. I can't tell you how many times after I was elected to Congress and was sworn in that I have had another member of Congress come to me and say, "I kind of remember you being part of what you guys did in Wisconsin, and what you did in Wisconsin gave us the courage to do what we did in Iowa and in state after state after state that passed some type of provision related to public union employees." So that is what's at stake. Act 10 is at stake because they will reverse it. They will reverse it. And along with that, other types of reforms that you're all going to be very aware of once you see them, and you're surprised that they could unravel these things. And I don't say that to scare anybody, and I think Senator Johnson and Senator Scott did a good job of saying it's about the grassroots, it's about what's going on at the local level, and I would just underscore that. It is. That's really what's at stake. I do want to just mention a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on the House Republicans, right? There was an expectation that we would pick up 30 or 40 seats. That didn't happen. So there is a slight majority, and there's really about 4 or 5 members who are in dicey seats. A good friend of mine, a guy I've gotten to know, Brian Fitzpatrick, he is in a -14 seat. And he's holding that as a Republican, all right? So a lot of times I think what you're seeing is, well, just push forward and hammer this through. But we've had good success, and we will continue to have good success because of the way I think that leadership has handled some of these items so far. I mentioned the Parents' Bill of Rights, but I just wanted to let Elise Stefanik, also somebody who's become a good friend of mine, yesterday made the point. There were 42 hearings held in the House of Representatives yesterday. 42 hearings, a new record. So anyone says that the Republicans got control of the House and didn't do anything, you're wrong. They are busting their tails. They are working overtime to make sure that not only do we get the legislation moving that's going to make sense, and we have already decided to cast to the wind the idea that, well, if it's not going to get to Biden's desk, why even pass it? No, we need to set the marker. And we're setting the marker for the next election cycle is what we're doing. We need to continue to prove to the American public that this is going to work. The Parents' Bill of Rights, I just wanted to mention one of the provisions that I was part of in the last 117th Congress that's made its way into the bill. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because not only are there many school board members that wouldn't be elected, I don't think, without the effort that's happening again this evening, but it's because of the actual issues that matter. And the one that, and I mentioned this morning on the radio, that just shocked me when I found out how bad it was this transparency issue related to curriculum. And it started with the discussion about CRT. That's how it started. And we quickly realized that a lot of school boards and administrators were tucking CRT into the curriculum, not mentioned as CRT, not described by the acronym, but in many different ways. So I did have discussions with some administrators in my district just about why can't you post the curriculum online? And you wouldn't believe the tap dances that I got about, well, Scott, that would mean that we'd have to hire an additional person. Or that means that we would have to really adjust the curriculum as changes were made throughout the year. So it was clear that it was stonewalled. So last year, I drafted the bill, and I worked with Julia Letlow, a conservative member, former educator from Louisiana, who now is the author of the Parents' Bill of Rights. And we had a discussion, and she said, I want to make that one of the pillars of the Bill of Rights. And it's in there. And it's in there, and it passed this morning on the House of Representatives. So you here this evening, you're at the epicenter. You're right in the middle of where the fight is going on. And I applaud you for that, and certainly you need to communicate that with your state legislators as well, because that's ultimately where the fight on education is. I'll just mention one other thing that happened this morning. In the shake-up with the speaker's race, there were a few new members that were put on the Rules Committee. Guys I've gotten to know very well because I served next to them on judiciary. Guys like Chip Roy, and guys like Thomas Massey. And, you know, there were some longtime members of Congress that were a little nervous about this. You know, these guys are kind of out there on some of this stuff. And one of the things that was offered as an amendment, which, by the way, this process has opened up Congress. And I think, again, many members of state legislatures would be shocked at how closed it was before, and especially under the tyranny of Nancy Pelosi, where nothing was discussed, nothing was rolled out other than those items that she wanted on the floor. And that was a little bit of the pushback in the speaker's race. Well, one of the amendments that came up today was to fully abolish the Department of Education at the federal level. And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of looked around the room and, you know, I looked at Tom Tiffany the other members of the Wisconsin delegation, and we were like, I think I'm voting for this. You know? And we did. We voted for it. We supported it. And if nothing else, I mean, is it realistic? Obviously, I don't believe it's going to happen in the 118th Congress. But what I do believe is that it's once again a message to the establishment to say, you guys are doing way more than you were ever designed to do. You're sticking your nose in places that you shouldn't. And I'm not just talking about the Department of Education. Last time Jim Jordan spoke to this room, he brought it up again. You've got Merrick Garland, Attorney General, who is absolutely over the top in denial that his department was actually out there working with the National Teachers Union to develop a strategy to mark and to name parents that were bold enough to stand up at a school board meeting to label them as terrorists. That happened, it's been verified, and absolutely up until this day, I think, the Department of Education was well aware of what was going on throughout this whole process. So the White House knew as well. And they are running for cover, they're going to continue to run for cover, and we're not going to let them off the hook. We are issuing subpoenas from the Judiciary Committee, we're hauling Merrick Garland back in, and we're going to take it to task. I know you got Justice Kelly coming up, so but I wanted to roll through a few other things with you if I could. The Judiciary Committee also has, right now, 8 bills related to the border. They're focused on immigration. Homeland Security will actually take care of the physical security of the border. So what we're referring to is Congressman Mark Green, who's the head of Homeland Security. They will have a bill that ultimately will say we need to, once again, establish control at the border. Build the wall. Build the wall. We've also passed a bill that says that the Secretary of Energy cannot continue to release strategic petroleum reserves whenever they feel the gas price went too high. We passed the bill to eliminate the COVID emergency and any vaccine mandate. And an actual victory that caught a lot of the Democrats in the House off guard, we passed a resolution to disapprove any of the changes to the DC criminal code, which I think is just hilarious, right? I mean, I don't live in DC, but I'm out there enough to see what's going on when you're 2 blocks away from the Capitol. It's scary. It is no doubt urbanized, and it's a scary city, right? For them to say, we don't have a crime problem, and we actually are going to loosen the standards, it's almost laughable. And obviously it made its way all the way to the White House, and Biden couldn't even figure out a way of going along with it at this point. So that, I think, is a preface to some other things that I think are coming down the pipe. We eliminated the 87,000 IRS agents, first bill that came out of the House. And then 2 more, the SOFA Act, which I'm actually working with Senator Johnson on. It's related to overdoses, related to fentanyl. If we don't make any change in this Congress that could actually save us from what's going on with the fentanyl coming across the border, making its way to the western states and obviously to the East Coast and unfortunately right here into Wisconsin. It would be to change the narcotic to a Schedule I. It would force those that are prosecutors and district attorneys across the nation to once and for all start taking the fentanyl crisis seriously. So, we're working on that. And then I'm also on the Financial Services Committee now. It's been very interesting. Obviously, we did not anticipate what's been going on related to the Fed, and earlier this evening, Senator Scott talked a little bit about that. The only thing I would say is the one thing that we're focused on is forcing the social governance, ESG, down the throats of financial institutions. This is happening now. It's actually happening. This isn't like a theory. It's not something that could happen. This is actually happening right now. And in the Financial Services Committee, there are a number of hearings that have happened and will continue to be focused on that issue as we move forward. So, and you're going to say, all right, all that is great, Congressman Fitzgerald, but the fact of the matter is you only control one house. And that's what many people are worried about. Except there are 12 appropriation bills. 12 appropriation bills that should be before the Congress. And the first one should arrive between August and September. If you watch nothing that the House of Representatives does for the next year, it would be, you watch that process. Because I believe that there is a guarantee from the newly elected Speaker and from leadership that we will hold that appropriations bill until the White House comes to the table and negotiates something directly with the House of Representatives and the Speaker on many of these different policy items that I just listed. And if they don't come to the table, then we're going to sit on the appropriations bills and government is not going to do something. And I know the 2 U.S. senators are gone now, but we're going to drag the U.S. Senate along with us. Because at the end of the day, even Chuck Schumer cannot hold up that appropriations process. So it is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's something I think we can focus on. And we're going to have success with it. We're going to have success. So watch, because I think the House is in good hands. We got to build our majority. We got to pick up some seats in this next election cycle, but I think we're on the right track. Listen, I recognize a lot of familiar faces in the room. You people have been there cycle after cycle after cycle, and I certainly appreciate it. I did as the majority leader in the state Senate, and I certainly do appreciate the support I'm receiving as a member of Congress, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Isn't it refreshing, all that stuff going on? And now we finally have some control down there. Great job, Fitz. Keep it up. Keep it up. Okay, folks, we're going to move on to a number of other speakers, a number of other things we have going on. I think it's been mentioned a couple times tonight. We had a little discussion with Senator Johnson and Senator Scott about questions about our youth and the fact that where do we go as a party? The numbers have been very upside down as far as the 18 to 29-year-old age groups. And what are we going to do to reach out to these folks, etc.? Just a quick little story. Last fall, our county party established an alliance, I'll call it, a working relationship with Turning Point. Turning Point Action. Anybody heard of Turning Point? The largest, most successful youth outreach program in the country. So last fall, Keith Best was with us, our grassroots outreach director. We got on Carroll University, started talking to talking to students, the Republican clubs there. Pretty weak, but the bottom line is willing. And so we have really started our approach here, and we're committed at the county party to a youth outreach program because the demographics are changing with us just like everywhere else. And we think this is absolutely the future. We need to reach out to these folks. So tonight I'm joined by Brett Gajewski, call it. He's the regional director for Turning Point. He's just going to come up for a minute and tell you a little bit about the youth program that they've got going in Wisconsin and across the country and what we're going to do together. Welcome, Brett.
Oh, you guys are too kind. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you guys so much. I am so excited to get started on working with the Republican Party of Waukesha County for a much-needed youth initiative. It has For those of you guys that are familiar with what Turning Point is, you know that it's a youth-based organization fighting the culture war on college campuses and high school hallways nationwide. Turning Point Action, the organization that I'm with, takes that Turning Point brand and name one step further. One of our goals as an organization is helping students and young people take that leap from being the conservative voices on their college campuses and in their high school hallways to being the conservative voices in their communities, where it matters most. Now, I see some young people here today, some unfamiliar faces. Can I ask any students that are here, or anyone really under the age of 25, to please stand up for a second? This is the future of the Republican Party. Now more than ever, young people are needed to step up and not just join their local Republican parties, but have a say in them, influence them, and help determine the future of it. This might be a really hard pill to swallow, but I'm going to say it anyway. Outside of these four walls, and outside of these groups of students that are here tonight, very few young people know how to get involved with the Republican Party. Right? Some of the most passionate conservative students I've ever met are super fired up, but they have no idea that events like this are taking place on a regular basis. They have no idea how easy it is to get involved with their Republican Party, which is a big problem considering that we're the generation that's projected to outvote baby boomers this decade. We are the generation that's going to make or break statewide and national elections going forward. And some of you guys are looking at me right now like, whoa, oh my goodness, what does that mean? I want to alleviate some of the concerns that you might have. Despite what the national media says about this generation, I'd argue we're one of the more conservative generations of the last 100 years. Right? And it's based on how we were raised. Look, I just turned 26, right? Who are our parents as a generation? Reagan-era conservatives. We were raised by people who grew up in their adolescent and formative years being exposed to Reagan-era policies. And for the most part, they passed that on to their children. Despite what the national media says about us being the most socially liberal generation, we are the most entrepreneurial generation. Right? We have a natural knack to make money. So we can find a lot of common ground conservative issues there. We can open up that dialogue. So I'm super excited to work with a county chair that understands what's at stake. I'm so excited to work with a county party that not only has been a driving force in the past and present success of the Republican Party in the state, but will now be a driving support in the future success of the Republican Party in this state. So it is an all hands on deck effort, okay? So here's my call to action, all you freedom-loving patriots in this room. If you have young people in your lives that are just as passionate as you are, and they're not here, they don't know how to get involved, they're not even thinking about getting involved, put them in touch with us. Let's get them started on this new youth initiative, right? This is what's going to keep the future of the Republican Party going strong. This is more than just bringing the average age of the room down. This is helping the Republican Party survive and advance for decades to come, so our kids, their kids, and their kids never have to grow up in a socialist country. Thank you guys so much.
So when you meet a guy like this, do you think you want to work with him? Absolutely. He's been fantastic. And what's really neat also is they're not just in the college level. There's another faction or another affiliation down to the high school level. So we're actually reaching out to the high schools who have Republican clubs and conservative clubs and business clubs, etc. We're going to be reaching down to the high schools and also the tech school and the trade schools. Because those folks are available, they're with us if we can just get to them and communicate. So thank you to Brett. He's absolutely contagious. And I forgot to mention, I saw Paris over here, he was cheering. I forgot to mention, there's a new vice chair of the Republican Party of Milwaukee County, and his name is Brett. So he won the election. There are good things coming in getting some bigger votes out of there and cooperating with those guys, because it's all about organization down in Milwaukee. We can do much, much better, which is going to take the pressure off of us Wells, and it's going to start to turn this ship around. There and Dane County, we've got to be working with these guys, and the youth organizations are right where we need to start. Fantastic. So let me change gears just a little bit. Chris Slinker, I'll ask him to come up. He's our chief strategist for WISRED and our new first vice chair. Chris called me about a month ago. He's done a fantastic job. He called me about a month ago and he said, you know what, with all these WISRED candidates and all these wins we've had, 252 out of 272 wins in the last 2 election cycles, 86%. We really need to recognize a couple of these folks and give an award to them. So we came up with the idea that we are going to give one municipal leader, WISRED Municipal Leader of the Year award tonight, and one WISRED School Board Leader for this year. We're actually going back to 21, our initial year with our municipal leader, and then Chris is going to introduce our 22. So ladies and gentlemen, it was tough because there's a whole lot of people back in 2021 when this was just getting started. And let me tell you something, the courage of these individuals, these were just average citizens who wanted to step forward and say, I can't take it anymore, I've got to step up. You've heard it from me a lot of times, if not me, who? If not now, when? That was the big question we were asking at the end of 2020 when we saw the election great chaos that went on, the fact that President Trump lost, which I still don't believe. And the bottom line is we tried to look for a direction, and bottom line, the WISRED initiative was founded because we said we have to get local and we have to talk to folks, and that came directly from Ron Johnson, who gave us that direction at that time. It was all Ron Johnson who said it's got to be triple up. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight's municipal award, hold on one second. This one, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's Municipal Leader, WISRED Initiative Municipal Leader of the Year goes to a good friend. He's been a great village president. He's been with us since the absolute beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Jeffrey Fannerstill, village president of Hartland, Wisconsin.
I want to start off tonight by saying Waukesha County is the heart of the Republican Party of Wisconsin. We are a red county. And 25 years ago, when we started on this journey to build our foundation, I'm a real estate broker, so I think of houses, right? We all need a good foundation to have a good house. We have 425 local elected positions in this county. And when we started this 3 years ago, liberals held most of them. In this county, Democrats and liberals ran our school boards. And they ran them for a couple of reasons. One, Republicans and conservatives just assumed they lived in a conservative community and that their members of their school boards were conservative. They also assumed that their local village or city or town elected officials were Republicans and conservatives because they lived in a conservative community. That was not true. It was very hard for us to convince, I guess, the bureaucracy of that fact. We're there now. We're 3 years there now. Of those 425 seats, in the last 3 years, we at WISRED, along with all of you, have won over 86% of these seats. Thank you. is not easy. Not only are we up against Democrats, but we are also up against bureaucrats who still don't believe what I have just told you. So this fight continues, and in less than a week or two, we have another election that we must win. 140 plus candidates. So I want to start by, if you are a WISRED candidate, or you are a local official here tonight who has won with our support, please stand. Thank you all for being here. Now, there was 20 or some, 30 here. Hundreds of candidates depend on your support to win these races every April. I want to make another point before I give my award. I won't go on too long, but for years in these April elections, turnout was 10, 11, 12%. Okay? What we have done with WISRED at this county party, with the thanks of Terry Dietrich and the rest of the executive board before I was there, was we have turned that 11% into a 37, 38, 39, 40% turnout. Which is ensuring our victories in these local races. Now, I'll get to the point. I just want to make a few points before I give the award. All of those things are very important, but when we chose our school board award recipient, one of the most important things about choosing that person was understanding that we needed to find someone who really believed in our philosophy, who really believed in our cause, and was actually willing to stand up for it. As many of you know, we elect conservatives, or sometimes people we think are conservatives, and then we become disappointed in some of the actions that they take. Amen. The person who is going to get the award tonight has stood up for our philosophy no matter what, and continues to do so, not only in her district, but in many other school districts. This is an important quality for this award, in my opinion, because at the school board level, it is the toughest. Not only are you dealing with parents who are worried about their children, they don't know what to think, they don't know what to say, but I can tell you right now, the liberals on a local level are the most visceral people you will encounter. And they show up at every meeting we have. Unfortunately, conservatives stay home. We're working, we're taking care of our families, we're putting the children to bed, we're getting ready for work. The Democrats show up, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, with their ponytails and their signs and their pinwheels, and they scream and they make posts and they make our members, our friends on the school board, their life tough. We need to stand behind them. We need to donate to them. We need to help them get elected. And we need to reject the bureaucrats that we elect and expect to vote the way conservatives vote. If they don't, we need to call them out. And we need to let them know we're watching. We will support conservatives, we do support our philosophy, and this award goes to Nina Christensen. And she has stood up for the cause. Now, one quick thing. Many of you have heard, she was on Fox News with her friends. Stay up here, don't try to run away. Her and her friend Chris Doolin on the school board started Moms on a Mission. And this got on Fox News, and we got some national coverage over this. So I just want to thank you for all that you do for us. Woo!
Onward April 4th. While we're on this subject really quickly, I want to point out There literally are 3 massive races this spring at the local level, all school boards. Waukesha School Board, huge. We've got 3 candidates running. Listen to this. 2 years ago, 2020, the makeup of the Waukesha School Board, a massive district, was 2 conservatives and 7 liberals. That was in 2020. If we win the 3 seats that are up with 3 great candidates that we have, we will take this board 9-0. Maureen, you've heard all kinds of crazy stuff going out there, furries and all kinds of flags and all the rest of this stuff. We elected 2 hard chargers last year, Kelly Brown and Carl Millard. And just like Chris says, they have been under the microscope, being beaten up like you wouldn't believe. We have 2 great candidates this year, Amy Richards and Tracy Breimer. They're running. If we support them in Kettle Moraine, which literally is our last big school board, if they win, we take the majority in Kettle Moraine. So that was absolutely monstrous. We were down literally 0-4, 0-5, 1-5. And these two years have been huge. And the third one is Elmbrook. Elmbrook is a monster. Huge battleground for us. It has been for the last couple of years. We've been running people, winning, maybe losing a little bit. This year, we have 2 fantastic candidates. Is Sam Hughes here? Where's Sam? Where's Sam Hughes? And is Greg Everhart here? No. He's out doing doors and canvassing. I don't know what you're doing here. But anyway. Sam has worked so hard. We had a primary. We supported Sam in the primary. He came out, qualified for the next round. There's a guy on the other side who he's running against named Dave Irwin, who has been a charlatan, basically saying he's a conservative, that he's not a conservative. He endorsed Tony Evers very clearly. There's all kinds of stuff that this guy is being exposed for here this last week and a half. Sam needs our help every single day from now until election day. That's knocking doors, he needs money, etc. We have put a lot of resources behind him. We believe that he can win. And we believe that Greg Everhart can win. If we win those 2 seats, as I understand it, we'll be down only 1, is that right? We'll have a majority. We will have a 4-3 majority in Elmbrook. Now this is beneficial for everybody saying, Wauwatosa coming across all of the Milwaukee negativity, there's no way you're going to be able to hang on to it. Guess what? We are. Just one more quick thing I'll mention. Elm Grove, the village of Elm Grove, which was heavily moving to the blue side. Well, guess what? Neil Palmer stepped out. Tom Mahalski went to Assembly. A bunch of really neat things have reconnoitered themselves. And in this election round, if we win the races we have, we'll take it all. Is it 5-0? 5-0. So don't let anybody say that the eastern side of Waukesha, we're losing to Milwaukee and we're starting to bleed, etc. Because we'll win all these races. We just took over the municipal board in complete in Menominee Falls, is that correct?
One seat away.
1 seat away. So we picked up big time there. So we're on the right track. We need your support. Let's keep going. We've got one more thing to do, and then we're going to move on with a couple of speakers that you need to do, but Ron stole my thunder a little bit with our wonderful friend Jen Doro. But tonight, our executive board made the decision a couple of weeks ago that we would like to give an award to Jennifer Doro. We're calling it the Waukesha Defender of Justice Award for the 2023 to Jennifer Doro. Come on up, Jeff. We appreciate you.
you. That's quite a shock and a surprise. I'm up here really because I want you all to vote for Dan Kelly. And I mean that with all sincerity. That's why I'm here tonight. He could not be here. He is out campaigning very hard to win a very important seat. You heard Senator Scott talk about a reason to run, and I know Dan and I shared the same reason to run, and that was because of the importance of this election. For a while now, we've had the conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and with Justice Reagan retiring, that put that seat squarely at issue. And it might have taken some of us a little while to understand what was really at stake, but we all know full well now what is. We've seen the ads, we've listened to the rhetoric, and even before all of that, like I said, both Dan and I got into this race because the rule of law, the role of a judge, justice for all is what is at stake. We no longer live in a time where judges are expected to just do one job, and that's to follow the law, let the law guide every decision that they make. We live in a time, because we've seen it in other places and for a time in Wisconsin, where the majority was something else. Where what they couldn't do by the legislative process, by a vote of 4-3, our state was turned into something we didn't want it to be. And that's what is at stake with this election. When you think about it, a 7-member court, and by a vote of 4-3, things like school choice, things like Act 10, things like so many things, I could go on, and you all know what they are. And it doesn't matter if it's something we would personally vote for or against as a legislator, if we were in that position. It's that process that makes America and the state of Wisconsin so great. It's letting our elected officials, who are in our assembly and in our Senate, make the laws, not 4 members on a court. And so that is why on February 21st, when, of course, things didn't go the way that I wanted to, it wasn't about me, though. And that is why I unequivocally said from the beginning that I would support Dan, and I did that. Now, you see, that reason that to run should be your reason to vote. I've heard that there might be a Twitter thread out there that is encouraging people to do a write-in vote for me. And while I am completely humbled by that, I don't want anyone to do that, because it frankly will be a wasted vote. There's no way, right? And again, I'm humbled. It makes me feel wonderful, but not really. I don't want to see Janet Protasewicz on our Supreme Court. No. Yes. When we think of the justice system, I hope you all have the same image. It's actually my picture on my phone. You know how you can put a little picture of yourself? I don't have a picture of myself on my contact that goes out. I actually have a picture of Lady Justice. And it's blindfolded, right? She's blindfolded, and she has evenly balanced scales. And that's because she doesn't do one thing, and that's put her thumb on a scale of justice. But that is exactly what Janet Protasewicz has said she will do on some issues. We probably have a good idea on what those issues are, but that's not her job, that's not her role. And so I need each and every one of you to not only vote for Dan Kelly, but I need you all to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, to encourage them to vote for Dan Kelly as well. I don't care if you say it's a vote against Janet Protasewicz. I don't care if you voted for me or Dan. I don't care if you sat out on the primary, which frankly, a lot of people did. We just need to get this vote out. Because if we don't, things will happen to the state of Wisconsin that will probably take decades to undo. Even if in 2025, when there will likely be an open seat due to retirement, right? Even if we then elect a conservative justice, it will still take time to undo. So please join me in supporting Dan. Please join me in voting for him so that this great state of Wisconsin stays great. I grew up here. Brett, when you said, right, you were raised by those parents who grew up in the 80s, guess what? My very first political rally, and many of you here, I know were there with me, was in 1984 at the Waukesha Expo, where I got to see Ronald Reagan. So, on that, I'm raising my kids, along with my husband, on those principles as well. And I have a lot of hope in this younger generation. And I have a lot of hope, and I have a lot of hope for this election because I haven't stopped praying, and I never will stop praying. It's something that our country was founded on, our Judeo-Christian principles. But I want to say this as well. Sometimes we look for political answers. There are also really answers of the heart. And when I think of the abortion issue, I want you all to hear this. We need to show love. You see, women find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy. What they don't need is our vitriol. They don't need our hatred. They need our love. We need to financially support them, right? We need to come around them, encourage them. And then I think, maybe, just maybe, they'll make the right decision. And it won't matter what the law is. While I'm up here, I just want to say a couple of thank yous, if you don't mind. Sure. My wonderful husband is here. Wouldn't be here today without him. He paved the way. Two of my wonderful children here, Michael and Kiki. My son Jonathan. I have my campaign manager, Amber, who, by the way, rock star mom in Ozaki, one of those women who took action in local school boards. That's why I hired her. Thank you for being here. And the best Uber driver ever, Eric Tony. He drove me around. I wish he was our Attorney General. That guy is going places. And you know what? This is how I know they're great. Because after I lost, guess what they're doing? Amber's doing doors for Dan Kelly. Eric has been campaigning as well. That's what winners do. Yeah. Thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, without whom I wouldn't be here today. And very, very last thank you to Waukesha County. You guys have been my home since I was 7 years old. This is overwhelming.
Thank you, Chuck. And thank you for your unifying spirit. Absolutely beautiful. Great person. I think there's a pretty big future for Ted Doyle in this county and in this state. Cody, tough act to follow. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring them up real quickly. Countywide judge candidate, former state assemblyman, and great friend of Waukesha County. Ladies and gentlemen, big, big hand for Cody Horlock.
Thanks, Dave. So,
me on April 4th. More excited than that, right? Come on, guys. When I was looking at this race last year, when Maria Lazar was running for Board of Appeals, again, against the Tony Evers appointee, I saw the backfill, and the concern I had was that Tony Evers was going to be able to appoint, and who was going to step up and challenge that individual, right? As you might be aware, not many lawyers are super conservative. Contrary to many of the judiciary we have here, we're kind of at a deficit, right? I took it upon myself, and I cannot thank Judge Maria Lazar, Judge Shelley Grogan, and Judge Bugenhagen enough for their core support in the early days. It's important that in Waukesha County, we know the people on the bench that are deciding these cases, particularly in criminal court, of which I have practiced for 3 years. My opponent likes to say that I've got no trial experience. Not true. I'm the only one in this race that's actually tried criminal jury trials. You can't say that. I'm the only one in this race that has tried cases in every type of court that you would sit on as a judge. You can't say that. But what he is calling me is a MAGA extremist. Yeah. And yet, the Democrats did a mailer for him last week. Yeah. His attack ads on me have said that I'm a threat to democracy. I think the people in this room tonight know that is not true. I want to send a clear message to the Evers administration that that does not play. Okay? That's not what we in Waukesha County stand for, right? As Judge Doro said, we don't put our thumb on the scales of justice. Whatever comes before me, neutral, right? That's what you expect out of judges. It's not what I want the law to be, it's what it is. I've given up my time making law. I pass that baton over to Nick, he's doing a great job. Shout out to Neighbor 8 because I think I've driven around more hours in vehicles, like super late at night with like just about everybody over there. Lid dropping not only for me, but for Justice Kelly and for all our great school board candidates up and down the board for this red. Because of the backbone of what's going to get every one of us across the finish line. I'm sure I've already taken up more than my time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to April 4th. Thank you for what you're doing. Continue to do it.
Countywide, everybody else vote. Where's the last but not least, I had to get him up here. I know he's been waiting for a long time. Alberta Darling's seat, oh my gosh. After all of these years, it's up, and the left is coming at us. Tough primary. Janelle, we love you. Dan, we love you. We're going to pull together the same way we're doing what Jen's talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, the next state senator, Dan Canoe.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everybody here tonight. Where's that young guy right again? There it is. In youth, there is hope, for sure. Thank you very much. Falls Baptist, stand up again over there. They are in this Senate district, the Falls Baptist. And a faith-based organization that actually welcomes us to come and speak and visit with their parishioners. I actually got scolded at my own parish in Germantown. I was at the Friday fish fry to support the parish with my family, grandchildren, and many people I knew there. And so after we had our fish fry, went around, started visiting at the tables. And a lot of people knew me already. I actually had a parishioner come up to me and scold me. Said, how can you turn this fish fry into a campaign event? And I didn't know what to say. I actually got a letter 2 days later, unsigned, no return address, same thing. Shame on you for turning the Friday fish fry at your parish into a campaign event. Well, maybe we need to start taking our parishes back too. And we're spreading the good word. So, I'll be meeting with Father Mike out in Germantown, telling that we're spreading the good news. That's what we need to be doing, is it not? Is it not? The people from Falls Baptist Church here that gave us that wonderful prayer and are spreading the good news. So that's what we need to do. We got a lot of work to do in that way to get our communities back. And you've seen that with the WISPRED program. Thank you, Janelle Branchen, my primary opponent, and my colleagues in the state assembly. We've had a fairly civil primary campaign, but all through it, we said we would support whoever came out. Van Mobley was my other primary opponent, village president in Thiensville. And both have been with me. Just last Sunday, we were in Menominee Falls at Village Bowl, a great place to take Republican events. And Janelle was there, and many of her team that is here tonight were there and are on board. So the things that we heard earlier from Ron Johnson, from Rick Scott, are just so true that we can drive turnout from the bottom of the ticket, if you'll call that. It's become the top of the ticket, these local races. And I look at the group over here that's been on doors for me, and the Menominee Falls people over here. When I started 14 years ago, Don Taylor came up to me, and he said, "Dan, you're from Menominee Falls, is kind of this island. Yeah, it's in Waukesha County, but really not a lot of participation with the county party, and it's this little island. And but look now, Menominee Falls is here in the house, and it has grown. And, they are part of this county. So thank you, and I wish that initiative is what's driving it. So we need to keep this seat. For those of you that are maybe a little familiar with inside baseball, this seat is a wonderful, amazing opportunity for the state legislature here in the state of Wisconsin. If you all get out your Wisconsin constitutions, well, I'll refer to it for you, but in the Wisconsin Constitution there is Article 7. There it is, Article 7, and Judge Roby, you can refer to it and correct me if I'm wrong, but Article 7 gives the state legislature some authority when you get to 2/3 in the state Senate. This seat is the 2/3 majority. They call me number 22. That's what they are referring to. 22 is the key seat. It gives us the authority to impeach government officials in the state. Starts just like at the federal level, starts in the House, in the Assembly. They need a simple majority. We've got that in very good order. But in the Senate becomes the trial body, and the final impeachment needs that 2/3 majority. This seat is that majority. So, it will give us many opportunities. But the first on my impeachment list might be a circuit court judge from Milwaukee named Janet Protasevich. And I've been asked, well, who would you impeach? And I'd say, well, how about the Milwaukee DA? And how about the circuit court judges in Milwaukee County who have failed their constituents, their neighbors, by sending these criminals right back out in the neighborhoods. And we know that here in Waukesha, when one of those criminals came out here and murdered in the Waukesha parade. And thank goodness that we have judges here that hold them accountable for their actions. So that's the opportunity that we have. I'd be so happy, so thrilled to be the impeachment center of the state of Wisconsin. Please give me that opportunity. I'd be thrilled to have it and be number 22. It's the 8th Senate District, but it's really number 22 is the important number there. Thank you for all the help. We'll be back out on the doors. We are driving it from that time up to Dan Kelly. We are carrying his literature. We are hitting the doors. All those misread people are doing the same. So you don't hear about that on the media. You won't see a commercial about that. People come up and say, well, Kelly, you better pick up his game, which means he's got to spend a lot more money. Well, we may not have more money. We got boots on the ground. It is happening. It will drive turnout, and we can win that Supreme Court race, and we get a supermajority in the state Senate of Wisconsin. Thanks.
Thanks,
I know this is the Waukesha County Republican Party. We have a lot of friends in Milwaukee County. The District 1 Court of Appeals is all Milwaukee County, and Judge Bill Brash is up for re-election. Scott Walker appointed him. He is extraordinarily qualified. His opponent is making Janet Protasiewicz look ethical. That's how bad she is. Anybody you know in Milwaukee County, you gotta talk to them, get that vote out. Judge Bill Brash, get him re-elected.
Thanks, man. Hey, one last piece of housekeeping. Everybody gonna vote for the 3 referendums coming up? Vote yes, vote yes, vote yes, vote yes, vote yes. All right, folks, look, I think we're about ready to conclude. I don't have any more speakers for you tonight. Where's Paul Farrows? Paul still here? No. Paul's not here. Oh. Is he coming? Okay. Well, look, we have a tradition here, and it's not my voice that's going to take us through, so I'm hoping Paul comes back. We have a tradition that we bring our legislators up to the stage, and we join each other in singing God Bless America. Would you join me? Elected officials, let's just say that. Come on up. Come on up. This has been going on for about, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So come on, everybody. Come on up on the stage. No idea who has the best voice here. I think it's Chuck. Will you stand, please, and join us to conclude the evening? George Shelley wants to say something quick.
Hopefully Ben won't go left because I might get in trouble for telling you this, but from Waukesha County, I want to give you guys the inside scoop. Chief Justice Annette Ziegler endorsed Dan Kelly. So let's get into it.
Before we sing, 2 things. One, we've had law enforcement keeping us secure tonight. Let's give them a big hand. And also, I forgot earlier to thank Mayor Ponto for welcoming us here to Brookfield in your beautiful Brookfield Conference Center. All right, who am I handing this to? Here we go. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's sing.